What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Dub Digital here. I got some more articles for you from CoinDesk, dated July 6, 2020. First mover, as Bitcoiners watch dollar, Deutsche Bank sees Trump win, hurting reserve status. Yeah, so this is something I feel like a lot of, and this is why I'm here, right? I'm a big macro guy. I'm macroeconomics first. So something a lot of crypto investors don't understand is how macroeconomic events affect everything. Whether you like it or not, if the macro event is big enough, every investment's getting affected for better or for worse, right? Markets are not, they're not segregated. They don't operate independent from each other. All markets are like chains, that links in a chain, right? You pull here, the other link on the end gets pulled. Maybe not as much as the first link, but it does get affected, and vice versa. Everything works in tandem with in an economy, right? So let's move on. Bitcoiners are already rocked by this year's coronavirus inflicted turbulence. Face a fresh source of volatility as the market head into the second half of 2020, the US presidential election. And I'm just going to go over some highlights, so I summarize this for you guys so you get through a little quicker. In a July 1st report, Deutsche Bank's foreign exchange analyst wrote that Trump, a Republican, has shaken up policy orthodoxies and institutions during this term. In contrast, former Vice President Joe Biden, through a presumptive Democratic nominee, would likely pursue policies that are more predictable and mainstream with traditional U.S. alliances valued. A Biden win could help support the post-World War II financial architecture, including multilateral organizations such as the Group of Seven, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, World Trade Organization, and North Atlantic Treaty Organization, according to Deutsche Bank. It's plausible that President Trump can do a great deal more damage to the U.S. reserve status in a second term, and as long as Biden is prudent with the choice of Treasury Secretary and provide multilateral global leadership, the U.S. dollar's reserve status is in a safer pair of hands, the analyst wrote. Okay, and then below you'll see DXY, which is basically a ETF, a fund that tracks the price action of the dollar, right? So as you can see, January 2020, the dollar was almost the same as where it is now, but in between there was a lot of volatility, right? A big drop in March due to the oil price tanking to the negative, right? And then a shoot up, because usually when prices go below the mean, they shoot up above the mean. So there was an immediate shoot up, and now we're correcting back down to where we were at the beginning of the year. All right, but besides that, what this article is really getting towards is that people are starting to notice that Trump's number one priority is not protecting the purchasing power of the dollar. I mean, in fact, he's been very open about it. He's tweeted out that he wants a weaker dollar. He wants a weaker dollar. Reason being is we're still in a trade war with China, even though people don't talk about it anymore, right? China's currently devaluing their currency. The United States is currently devaluing their currency. In order to be more attractive in the international marketplace, it's better to have a weaker currency, so people who buy from you can buy more things. That's why people who sell on eBay and Amazon, they typically source from China, because the conversion is cheaper, the cost of living is cheaper. The marketplace will reward any place that gives more value for the buck, right? So China and the United States are currently in competition for that lower rung spot to guarantee more international trade. However, it's not good for the dollar, right? The dollar is still the world reserve currency. The world reserve currency acts as the bedrock, the anchor that holds down all of the other fiat currencies that are floating in the current. It's the anchor that sits down and keeps everything tethered together. But what happens when the anchor gets lifted up too? And that's where we're at now. That's the problem with what's going on with the US trade war. The world reserve currency should never be involved in like aggressive devaluation. In theory, it doesn't in theory, I say, because it's not what what has been happening is a aggressive devaluation of the dollar, but it shouldn't be, because we're in uncharted territory now. There's nothing keeping us tethered. So the obvious play here, and this is what this article is getting at, is that we are moving to something else. There always has to be an anchor that keeps the world and investors level-headed. That used to be the dollar, that used to be T-bills, treasuries. But what's going on with this unstoppable ballooning of debt creation, of currency devaluation, pretty much with reckless abandon, people are starting to get the hint. Deutsche Bank's starting to get the hint that we're going to a new world reserve currency asset. And since you're here, I think that's cryptocurrency. I think it's cryptocurrency. We can't go back to gold because the world is too global now. People do business from far distances and need to transact quickly. Gold, you can't ship it to and fro fast enough, and you can't guarantee that people won't cut it, melt down the alloy and make it less pure, or gold plate it and give you lead. It's not possible. I think cryptocurrency is a new form of money. The reason people call Bitcoin digital gold is because in the transaction, you can see immediately after the blocks are mined, the settlement. The settlement is basically equivalent to someone going into a gold dealer, analyzing the alloy and saying, yes, this is gold. Basically, every time you send a Bitcoin, every time you send an Ethereum, well, maybe not an Ethereum, but hard-capped coin, if it goes through and it sends and it gets from your wallet to theirs, that's the decentralized network telling you that this is 100% pure Bitcoin. And that is why digital assets is so revolutionary in this point in time right now. Because there is no trust needed. Not only is it a fast payment method, it's low cost, and it's a store of value. And there's 0% chance of counterfeit. And we have all these banks now starting to realize that. So you tell me what that means next. There's going to be a flood into Bitcoin like the world has never seen, because it is one of the hardest forms of money. Gold will get a big influx because it's what's been known for thousands and thousands of years. There's history behind it, and hey, there's probably a better chance of gold holding its value than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has insane upside. Bitcoin has insane potential to the upside, because not only is it underappreciated as a store of value, because Bitcoin is pretty much stored electrical cost, electricity, to store electricity. People just don't understand that it's undervalued at this point. It only has a good chance of going down against gold is because there's just a lack of understanding about Bitcoin. Alright guys, I think I rambled on this one long enough. Like, comment, subscribe. Dub Digital here, bringing you economic data, news, updates, and also cryptocurrency and how all this kind of ties into cryptocurrency for you. I love doing macroeconomics. I love studying it. I love reading about the news, and I love reading about Bitcoin. Alright guys, talk to you later. Bye.